Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you
Okay.
hear us?
Yeah, I can hear. No lah, the SRE thing, just for decoration. Cause you're gonna talking, we are gonna chat about stuff related to SRE, right? Part of it lah, part of it is okay. Wait, still doing one last touch up. Hey, when's your computer coming, Jun Hao?
3 to 4 weeks because of coronavirus.
Oh, you're not. You ordered the parts and then you are like putting it together yourself, or what?
I wanted to do that, and then I did a comparison of the price difference versus if I go for like aftershock, right? The difference is $150,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna like spend 10 hours fixing the whole thing.
It just took me an hour, well, 2 hours.
It's gonna be my first time, so I'm probably gonna like put the thermal paste wrongly, and then after that,
Hey,
oh shit, it doesn't.
It was my first time too, actually. It was my first time too. So if you buy it at 3600, my friend also bought my 2600. The thermal paste is already on the underside of the cooler. So you just slap it on. Yeah.
You know that.
It was actually pretty easy. It took me 2 hours. It took me longer to install Windows than to set up the machine. I had some BIOS problem or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. BIOS problems, warranty problems, and the thermal paste problems.
Yeah, sure. Well, it was my first. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for coming. Actually today the chat, I was supposed to chat with Jun Hao, but I just invited a bunch of you guys in. Streaming this on Twitch. The reason why I choose Twitch is so that we can download the video and I can choose to upload it to our workplace.
Oh, you shared the URL, right?
Yeah. So like, from me, after that, right, it allows you to export a downloaded video and then I can put it in an FMG, and then I can also back it up to YouTube, right? But YouTube, you can't download that. You need a third party too. Right? So that's why I think Twitch is like way better. Yeah. Okay.
No shit. I just opened the link and I was like hearing twice because you're streaming it directly there. You're streaming this there, so it's kind of weird. You can't join there, man.
You can join in there and then like chat there, but I haven't figured out how that will work, right? So that's the best. Cool. So the only way I can think of putting multiple people faces into one stream is by importing the Google Meet stream into my stream studio.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just super strange if you are hearing the Twitch one because you hear this like half a second lag, then you're like.
Oh, yeah, you can close the Twitch one. The Twitch one is just to show you.
I closed already.
Yeah, show you guys like how it looks like. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, today we're gonna talk a little bit on support engineering, and you know I put a little image here, site reliability engineering on a Twitch stream to kind of like emphasize that it's kind of related to what we are trying to do here lah at xfers, right? SRE, that's something that's very important for us, and it's only recently that we have introduced opsgenie into part of our workflow, right? I think it's still a system that we're trying out. We haven't rolled it out fully. Maybe Isaac and Jun, you guys can share a little bit on like, you know, what is opsgenie and like what it does.
I'll pass the stage to mainly Isaac.
So what opsgenie does is it helps to manage rotations and escalations. What that specifically means, and we'll break it down into two. So for rotations, previously, before we have a rotation, everyone is on call, right? So that is not scalable. If everyone is being pinged at the same time, that drains a lot of energy. So the next stage is one person would be on call for a week at a time. And hopefully if you have enough people on call, that person will only be on call for a week for the next 1 month or 2 months, right? So that is rotation. And opsgenie helps us to create rotations for domains. We're testing first with one single domain, and we'll expand as we see fit. So now we have rotations, and one person knows that for this week, they will be the point of contact if issues happen, but they'll get to take a break for the next 6 weeks or so. The second part of opsgenie is escalations. Escalations is really knowing, being able to get notified when issues happen. Right. So yes, you can ping someone on WhatsApp, you can ping someone on Slack, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they will pick up the call or that they will see the message. And especially if it's a high critical issue, this could be really bad. Right. So what opsgenie does is it can manage the escalations for you. So you can actually trigger it via APIs such that if an issue happens, the first thing opsgenie will do is it will look at the rotations and see who is on call, and it will first send a light message, an SMS first. If the guy doesn't respond, opsgenie can be configured to make a phone call. And if that still doesn't work, opsgenie can be made to hit several people as well. And it can keep going on and on. So the idea is that, hey, if the first line of defense fails, let's try to find more people that we can contact. So yeah, so that's why we're looking at opsgenie to help manage incidences here at xfers.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do remember that before we had this opsgenie, the very first version was just on a spreadsheet. So we kind of track that manually on a spreadsheet. So the iteration one, we talk about entering maturity levels. I remember we first started planning everything out on Google Spreadsheets. And then it kind of evolved into calendar invites, right? That's a stage 2, right? Because as you add in more hit counts, things got more complicated. So the rostering is done on Google Calendars. However, it's like a very manual process, right? So then you need to keep figuring out like who's next, and that manual process is actually done by Jin Hao previously, right?
Before me was Ming Sheng.
Yeah. So
right.
It's extremely troublesome, and then you need to reset the Slack tag, right? And then change like who is the support engineering. So what we do in xfers is like for support engineering, we create a Slack group, right, called support engineering, so that if anything happens, the person can do an add support engineering, and then like the relevant parties would be tagged, right? And then if shit goes wrong, then someone do the add support engineering. So the problem with that also is like what Isaac mentioned is that sometimes Slack messages do not go through, either by their settings, the default, or they may not have the connectivity, or for whatever reason, right? Or like it's just not in the whole culture and the whole process for people to go and keep track of their Slack alerts, right? Like there's also too many signal to noise ratio, right? So
yeah. Especially that the two other concerns are after hours, holidays, and if you need to change the schedule as well. Let's say somebody wants to take a holiday on the week that he's off, so rotating that is a little annoying.
Super annoying. We used to have it, and we even have problems where, because, we try to go by a cycle, and we don't know when holidays hit, like, we can't plan that. So some people were like, why are they getting hit on every single holiday? And they will be asking like, is this planned? No, it's not planned. We didn't plan for it to get hit every holiday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then some people like 4 weeks in advance, they didn't know they were going for leave. And then on that week itself, suddenly they have an urgent leave. And in order to change the whole thing manually is insane.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think what opsgenie provide is also the sense of urgency when you can say, oh, I'm gonna contact you via phone call.
Yeah.
Acknowledge, right? So it becomes more serious, right? However, that brings about new problems, like I think some of the engineers are feedbacking that is there a need to carry my laptop around? That's number one. Number two is like how often will I be called, right? Will I be called more often? Will I be called less, etc.? Yeah, I don't know. Like how does Facebook does it, right? Like maybe Heng Kong and can share like.
I think those are great questions. Like the fear about carrying your laptop around. Well, first, it's 1 week out of 6, 7, or 8 weeks, right? So 1 week isn't so bad. The second part is it's sort of, I think the greatest thing about being on call is you get to experience what everyone gets to experience, right? So if you notice a huge load during your week, you might be wondering, why aren't we fixing this, right? Why are we repeatedly running to this problem every week? So it sort of forces you to want to improve the systems. All right. So my throwback to that is, ideally you shouldn't have your laptop with you at all times, right? Okay, maybe for that week you might need to, but you shouldn't need to have to pull it out. It should be a forcing function to force you to build more reliable systems. You don't want to get called, right? So the idea is you don't want to get called, so make stronger systems to support against that, or fallback systems. My time at Facebook, I think I was lucky to be on a team that didn't have many on-call situations. But yeah, there was the expectation that during your on-call week, you would get on-called. Because I was based in Malaysia at the time, which is completely opposite time zones to San Francisco, I was pretty much on call for San Francisco's issues. So for my first 3 years at Facebook, if an issue happened with some push or things were only detected hours after deployment, I would have to go in, get the patches ready such that in the morning the fixes could go live. Yeah. But I was lucky to be in that situation to help support the US team. But when I did get to the rotation where, I tried to emphasize building more robust systems to handle that.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, I have the same thoughts with you, right? So back when xfers was first started, I basically had to carry a laptop every single day. Like literally every single day. Even if I would go on a holiday, I'll carry a laptop. Even if I were to go to a nature park, I still remember climbing Kinabalu with my MacBook. I still remember going to Myanmar on like some trekking trip. I carried my MacBook, and basically I can only go to countries where there's a 4G connection. Yes. Right. So I cannot go to any countries where there's no 4G connection or like shit 4G connections, right? So I mean that eventually led us to kind of improve the systems. Because I'm doing infra, right? So right now we spin up more instance to instance, we'll proper load balancing, do more deployment checks, and right now our current iteration, we're running things on Kubernetes. So Kubernetes kind of take care of the infrastructure layer for you to a certain extent, right? So like if a container is not so good, you'll queue it. Yeah, so I understand the pain of carrying a laptop. I've been doing it for many years. Yeah, so I think my thoughts for this is like, if you don't want to carry a laptop, actually for me personally, I think it's okay. As long as you can get back within like 1 hour and 2 hours. Right? In Singapore, I think that's like completely achievable. Just take a grab down. Like if you don't want, to bring a laptop. Secondly, I think is you can just ask someone to help, right? If you're really like, let's say in a movie and then you got caught in like a side down, like it's like shit, in a shit moment, right? That's where you can really reach out for help, right? Or if you're not gonna get a movie, go for a movie and you saw a huge deployment coming up, then I think get someone to like be on standby for you, right? Just usually ask in the channel. Someone should be able to reply, right? So I think there's more of like having opsgenie is kind of like having a more controlled chaos, right? Previously it was like uncontrolled chaos, so you do not know when the site will go down or like whether you'll be caught, right? So it's like basically there's less order, right? So I think I want to move towards like unordered chaos to something like it's more controlled. And when something's more controlled, like you have a greater sense of like you better plan your time better, right? Because like without opsgenie or like without a core system, literally anyone anywhere will be caught at any time, right? So it's like, basically there's no sense of security there lah. Yeah. So I think this is something that I want to address also in this video cast lah, like what I think about carrying laptops. Yeah. Was there any other stuff that were being raised up, Shin Hao?
Yeah, so for them on that, right, I think one of the things previously is that when it's on Slack, there is a lot of different urgency requests coming in, right? And sometimes when within a window of 30 minutes, if you get 3 requests, of course you're going to work on the one that you think are the highest priority, right? And sometimes once you finish that, you're like, the other two doesn't seem that big of an issue, and it might just lapse because you only have that much attention span and you only have that much energy for that window. So one of the things is with this opsgenie, it feels a bit like we are reaching a point of with greater power comes greater responsibility. You can get a person's attention more easily, like with a call or with an SMS, right? So these are higher attention seeking kind of things. But that also means that if we don't have a proper way of distinguishing what is urgent and what should be called, through the telephony or what should be SMS, then at some point you can call the person and they're still not going to respond because they will treat it like noise, right?
Yeah.
So that's also one thing that we're currently getting a lot of feedback on, and I think Isaac, you used to tell us before about how the urgency is being run at Facebook. Was it something to do with like if it hits 1% of users or something like that?
Right. So, or Heng Hong, would you like to talk as well?
Yeah, hey, Heng Hong.
Yeah, Heng Hong's a quiet guy. I maybe he's not around. So
yeah, okay.
There are a few levels. There is the site event, and site events starts from 0 up to 5, if I remember. It's been a while. But the most important ones are 0, 1, 2, and 3. And they talk about the severity of the event. The way we look at something that at least targets a Sev 3 is, so Sev 0 is the highest severity, where all hands down, everyone stop what you're doing. Essentially, Facebook itself is not working. Sev 3 could be, hey, maybe this feature isn't working for a small percentage of users. So specifically just that feature and just a small percentage of users for that feature. I think the figure we looked at was if 1% of the users are not being able to use the feature as intended, that falls under a Sev 3. Yeah. So, and that 1%, all that feature users. So that only 5 million users are using that one feature, then if it's impacting 50,000, it is something that needs to be looked at.
There was also something about if it was revenue generating or something along those lines, right?
Yeah, so revenue generating events are even more high impact, right? So we would measure like, hey, how much money was lost per minute because the system was down. Yeah, because every minute Facebook is down, Facebook is losing money, right? And for any system nowadays.
So that gives me a weird thought, right? Being a fintech company, almost every feature is money generating, right? Then how do we then have this distinction? I mean, how do we run this? Because we can't exactly everything be set to 0, then it's going to become all noise again, right?
Well, I think it also goes down to looking at things like the transactional emails. Let's say users are not receiving transactional emails. All right, that's not so high pri. Users not receiving OTP. Okay, that can be manageable, right? But if we're getting discrepancies in financial information, those definitely we should be looking at more importantly, right? So we need to group what is the more important ones which really impact the users, right? And trust as well.
Yeah. So it seems we do need to come up with some kind of grouping or some kind of SAF level, because otherwise if we do have this, like telephony ability and we're going to treat 500, 404, 503 the same as one particular user cannot receive the OTP, that's going to drain the energy of everyone being on call.
Actually, so when you implement this opsgenie thing, right? So we have this Slack integration that we can issue commands to opsgenie, right?
Yes.
Yes, I apply to Isaac because that's his work.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to find out like what are your thoughts on people abusing opsgenie to call someone, right? Like like the signal and noise ratio kind of thing?
Well, it goes both ways, right? If someone is pinging you at 3 a.m., it better be legit. And it's an education thing, right? We need to teach people whether it's okay to ping for this particular issue, right? Transactional emails are not working at 3 a.m. That can wait till the morning. So this is really educating the users of this tooling about whether they should be contacting people or not. The second part we can do is really we can limit who can use it, but at the moment it's open to everyone. I think that's a better way to start than limiting who can use it. Yeah.
Okay, so when an incident happened, right? So right now we haven't automated the
Yes, we haven't yet.
Right now it's still like there's a triager, right? So the person on duty would first look
Yes.
at that, right? And if the person on duty is not responding, anyone within the team can
Yes.
the Slack bot command thing, right?
Yeah.
Anyone in Slack, right? It's not anyone in the team. Anyone on Slack.
Right. So the first ping on Slack via the opsgenie bot will result in an SMS, right?
Yes. Well, so it will go SMS to the person on call. Yeah. So this is
And if let's say I activate the opsgenie bot and then like the SMS is being sent, do I assume that opsgenie will automatically escalate until it calls the guy?
Yes.
Or like, okay.
Yes. opsgenie will continue escalating unless somebody acknowledges it. So only when it's acknowledged will the escalation stop.
I see. So how many times do you set it to, like?
Right now it's just set to within the team because we don't have everyone on board yet. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so you SMS 2 to 3 times before calling, right?
Oh no, it will repeatedly SMS, and so the way it's set right now is it will immediately SMS. 10 minutes, if you don't respond, it will call, and I think another 10 minutes later it will contact the whole team. Yeah, and then we only stopped at the team because we haven't added additional layers.
Okay. By contacting the team, you mean like you mass SMS everyone?
Mass SMS the 5 people right now on the support engineering system support.
I see. Okay. So I guess the next step is to have an education system to the help desk folks, right, on how to use this and like what happens. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
I think education is one part. There is another part that we probably also want to take a look at. It's also about alignment of SLAs, right? Because I do know, I've been talking to the CS team, and they do have a system where the SLA is to provide a response to the user within a set amount of time. And there is currently no change in the SLA to respond, even if the ticket is escalated beyond the CS team, which seems like, there is this pressure on the CS personnel to continually be responding even when there's not much extra information that maybe the engineer hasn't found out anything or there has been no fixes. So, there's constantly this pinging even when there's nothing going on.
Okay. So would you say that it's also the responsibility of the product team to also kind of help reduce the signal noise ratio? Right. So you previously discussed with one of our product managers, Ping Hua, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what are his thoughts on that? Like, how do you think like product can come in to like kind of improve the signal to noise ratio, right, before escalating to an engineer, right? And like, will product manager be part of opsgenie workflow as well, right?
Okay. So 2 things, right? One of the reasons why we changed the naming from support engineering to system support was also to reflect that. Because when you think about it as support engineering, you kind of think of it as this person who's like that there used to traditionally be this role called support engineer who literally sits there as in a layer between other departments and the engineering departments to look at the issue before they escalate one more time. Traditionally, I think they call it like level 1 support, level 2 support, level 3 support, and over here we don't really have that. And if we do that, it kind of just adds a lot of unnecessary layer for us. So system support is kind of our way to insert the thinking that it's not just the engineer's responsibility to ensure that the system works. Otherwise, then you only need engineers in this company, right? So in that sense, I've talked to Ping Hua, one of our product managers, and currently how we are going to operate on this basis to add the product managers into this role is to first have Ping Hua be added to the handle permanent basis for 1 month for him to kind of get a sensing of, what does it feel like to be on this handle and the signal to noise ratio, and also how much of it is things that the PM could improve, right? And after a month from now, we will start rotating the PMs in on a weekly basis. And this will help with situations like recently where, we found out that we never had the ability to add bank account for guest users. And it's been an ongoing problem for like 2.5 years, right? And one of the main thing was that because there wasn't any PM that was fighting for this feature, and this feature, I looked through our GitHub issue, we have like 4 or 5 issues relating to one feature, and they were always closed because they were stale. And then a new PM opens it, and maybe someone leaves the company, it was closed, and then another one comes in and another one opens it, right? Yeah. So nobody's really always on the ball to do this. So that's like the ideal state we want to get to.
Okay. So you mentioned something interesting, like basically automating some of the commonly requested tasks, right? Like the ad bank account, for example, right? So because of some compliance regulatory issues, like this thing has to be manual, right? But I mean, if you manual it for too long, right, it's not going to be an effective use of an engineer's time, right? For example.
Yeah.
What like is opsgenie able to like kind of track what kind of requests is being requested for, and then like eventually we have data, right? Like okay, I mean even though we might not track it officially, because if you route it to the team that's handling this all the time, and then like someone eventually going to feel the pain, right, of doing it manually all the time, then it will fix by itself lah. But I think how could we like systemize it, right? Is opsgenie able to have something like that?
So I think it's two different things, right? opsgenie is to manage incidences. The other thing is to manage tickets. So this is the tooling I built in Slack, because our communication tool is Slack for this, such that if somebody makes a request, I tag a xfers help desk bot, and then we can track this is the message that was sent, and we can add metadata to it as well. Like, hey, what was the cause of the issue? Is this a recurring issue? And first-time issues are okay, right? First-time issues happen all the time. But if a recurring issue happens several times, and we notice this takes up an engineer's time, maybe 15, 30 minutes, an hour each time, and it's a recurring issue, we should try to solve it as soon as possible, such that we reduce toil. The word we're talking about here is toil, this wastage of engineering time. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Okay, that sounds too bad. So I remember also you written a bot to kind of pipe all the commonly requested items to Airtable, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How's it going? Is the help desk folks using it?
We just had that Slack migration from one to the another, so I just today actually migrated the bot over, and I've been adding additional features to it as well. But during the 1.5 month trial when we were using it originally, people did adopt it actually, and people who I didn't really educate to use the tool were using it as well. So I thought that was pretty cool, right? So people are seeing the culture that we had set, and we're continuing it, even though I wasn't pushing it forward. And during the collection of the data, we could definitely see what was recurring, what were the recurring issues. So just a little bit off topic. So tracking tickets and tracking the recurring of it was one thing. I started doing a little bit of that with our incidences as well, and started looking into, hey, what were repeated incidences such that we can stop having larger issues with our systems, right?
Right. That's interesting. So I'm trying to understand. was the ad bank account thing being detected by your bot? Right? Does it show up? Because like we know based on my intuition that the ad bank account help desk thing is a common issue.
Yeah.
Was your Slack bot able to pick that up?
So the bot only tracks right now. It's not so the bot tracks it by adding it to Airtable, a Google Sheet, if you must, so that we can visually track. But that still requires a human interaction, right, to pull out the data. We are okay for where we are now. That is okay. What we've previously had at systems at Facebook was, hey, because we had so much data coming in, we could actually throw in AI, smarter systems to help route and understand the data a lot better. So yeah, we are here at level 1 for now, and that works for us at our scale. When we have a million incidences happening, that is when we need smarter and better systems.
Yeah, actually, one idea I have is that for the ad bank account system, there should be a GitHub issue created for it. So then you just help desk bot issue number and then the description, right? So you can then
That's doable.
Yeah, you can just sort by sum. You can just sum the number of like GitHub issues, or based on the GitHub issues, you update the same row, right? And then just increase.
You can't. That's the thing. GitHub is really shit. So the problem with GitHub is that you cannot search by labels, or you cannot graph out.
That woke him up.
Yeah, you cannot graph label. So let's say, for example, today I want to know what is the trend of row bar issues over time. But I cannot do that. I have to write my own. I have to write my own GitHub app to do it.
Yes.
Right. Like GitHub UI doesn't support doing simple stuff like organizing of task by tag.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not your project. So it's not your task manager.
Yeah.
So it's not a task manager that you need. Yeah.
So I'm saying like more of like, right now you manually create at help desk bot and then the issue, right? So what I'm saying is that at help desk bot, if Natasha or like some support staff knows that it's related to ad bank account, I'll just put in the GitHub ID number.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I agree with you. That makes sense. But the problem is that on the macro level, you want to keep track of what are the trends and what are the keywords and where are the problem areas and stuff like that, right? So you want to, over time, let's say 1 month in, you want to know what are some of the issues and what's been happening. You can't see all the text in a graph or some sort, right? You have to build an app for that, a GitHub app for yourself to do that. Yeah.
Isn't that Airtable though? Isn't that what Airtable is for? Like with all that, we can dump them out.
Correct. So that's why I think Isaac used Airtable.
Yes.
I think GitHub is just not a good task manager, right?
Yeah.
So I remember you have this tool called Obsidian, right? They will automatically detect word clouds and then kind of figure out like what's the.
No, that's different. That's like just note taking. That's just note taking. But I think you might be able to find something like remember ZenHub, right? ZenHub has it's a product built on top of GitHub to be able to arrange stuff. But I mean, this kind of stuff is really something that is more suited for a more specialized, like Asana, for example. I think Asana is probably the tool of choice for these kind of things. Yeah.
Okay.
Task manager under the task manager kind of like stuff. Yeah.
Got it. Wow, cool. Okay, I can't wait for this to be launched. Actually. Yeah. Well, okay. When's the next education period? Like, what's the timeline? Now. Okay, so now it's launched with this group, right? Then you guys are testing it. After you test it successfully, then what's next for that?
After we've tested successfully, I think the next part would be to. So right now we only have one domain, and it covers the whole of xfers, right? Unfortunately, maybe we might notice hotspots within one particular vertical. Let's say transactions. Maybe then what that means is we probably need to split the two and have one rotation amongst transactions, because I don't have domain knowledge about what happens in the transactions team. The transactions people have the best domain knowledge about that, and they really should be the first point of contact instead of it going to me and then me trying to route it again. Yeah, so I think the next target would be look at where the hotspots are and identify, hey, is that a domain vertical where we can assign a rotation in?
Okay, okay, sounds good. All right, I think that's all the topic we have for today to cover related to support engineering and opsgenie in particular. You guys anything else to say? If not, I think yeah,
Yes,
end the discussion.
it's already an improvement, right?
Yeah.
I noticed on help desk yesterday, someone asked about the user bank account again, and what happened was that my mouth came and said that the feature is done. Let's roll out the permissions to everyone tomorrow, which is today.
Yeah.
So things are improving. So all of us shouldn't be so dismayed. It's been there for 2.5 years. We finally fixed it, and it will improve as we go along.
Yeah. I mean, speaking about that as well, as I talk to the engineers, Baimao here specifically, Baimao gets a lot of requests, and people message him privately, right? So when I started managing him, I started understanding, hey, how many requests come to you privately? So I started educating him, like, hey, could you route the request to the help desk channel, right? So that people are more visibly aware of the additional work that you are taking on as well. And Baimao is now learning to push back these requests as well. So that is really seeing the education happening within the team. Like the first part is, oh yeah, I can route this to the public group, and then I can push back on these requests. So that is small steps, but really important steps to see the growth in the people.
But it also shows that education goes both ways, right? Because if everything goes under private messages and under groups, then we can't make all these improvements for everyone.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I don't think it's just localized to Baimao, right? When I used to talk to, I think Winston has a lot of these as well.
Yeah, usually the good people will get pinged.
I mean, the more you don't push back, and the more it doesn't go to the public channels, the more people will ask, and the more these things don't get found out, and things will just get worse and worse, right? We can't fix what we don't know.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, you want to, if you're being pinged, on this every so often, right? Then you need to create a Notion document on it, lah, right?
That's one step.
Basically, it's like a cache, right? Like if you're gonna repeat yourself 100 times, why don't you just cache it on every
That's the thing, right? Not everything can be cached, right? You can't exactly cache creating a bank account. You need to do it to SSH, right? Like the rest of the departments can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, for that particular, or like but if you have random questions on certain things or
FAQ.
Yeah.
That's where we're getting more data would be extremely useful, right? So once I get more data for this help desk bot, and I can try and figure out, hey, they're sort of asking the same question. I can point them, hey, this question has been asked before in XYZ. Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. Yeah.
At least we are moving in the right direction, right? So
slowly but surely. Yeah.
So we're ending on a happier note.
Agree, man. Really can't wait for that. I think it's gonna be a huge improvement, lah. Yeah. Hopefully we launch it.
I think for Victor, it's like the biggest difference because he's experienced it when it was like literally one person compared all the way to now, right?
He was the only on call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still the last line.
Even right now for infrastructure, I still need to be somewhat on call. But that's slowly changing, lah. Yeah, as we add in more stats and logins on infra team, so that's way better, right? A lot of the infra stuff right now you can find on Datadog already. Yeah, so it's
that's good. That's a great start. Yeah.
I'm also seeing a lot more coming from them in that area.
Yeah. Then has improved quite a lot. Like I think overall I've tried to build a culture of like data and observability in like our team and transactions team, like mostly. Yeah. But that's something that we need to spread to other teams as well, right? So everything. Go and measure, like metrics on that.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Are we jumping off the call now?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks everyone.
Have a nice
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.
Hey Hong spoke 2 times.
Next time you could also record using